Now, if we were to think beyond that, beyond our own personal gain, and we were asked the question, what about the residents?
Yeah.
Is this bad for the city? Is this bad for the workforce housing stock? Am I benefiting off of other people's pain?
Right. I love that we have space to talk about this from a different perspective as well, because I don't think investors talk about the resident perspective enough. And there's no reason that there have to be two different perspectives. There's a way to recognize and appreciate how everybody can win in the long run here. And so I wanted to take a step back and just think about it from the space of our community and our residents, because at the end of the day, if we're not serving our residents, there's no way that we can perform in this asset class. And so we do it for that reason, but we do it for more than that, because that's the type of people that we are. And we want to serve and raise whoever we can. And so, when you start to think about what's actually happening bigger picture here, there's a flywheel that I wanted to share with all of you. And higher rents are a part of that flywheel where everybody can win. So let's start with that flywheel, right? It usually starts somewhere with either more and better jobs or population growth. It kind of starts there, right? Yeah. We've seen population growth in Jacksonville, right? We've seen more and better jobs. When you have more better jobs and population growth, that leads to higher median incomes. Higher median incomes are critical here. This is one of the reasons we're so passionate about building downtown and revitalizing downtown. It's because we believe when we raise median incomes, the rising tide lifts all boats and everybody wins, right? If the median incomes would rise, people can afford higher rents and it doesn't displace them, right? So raising median incomes is something that we're passionate about. So when you have median incomes that rise and you have higher rents that will follow.
Well, median incomes rise, people have more money, there's going to be a higher demand for higher priced things.
Exactly.
Right? Just like the Fed pumping money into the economy raised rents,
artificially,
really fast artificially.
Yes.
Higher median income means, man, I've got this money.
I want to live in the best place.
That's the sustainable way.
So, right. But the key is raising median incomes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that developers, that's what developers know, because when they raise median incomes, that leads to higher rents. Higher rents are what developers like JWB need to see in order for us to make bigger investments that will lead to the next part of the flywheel, which is more amenities, right? When you think about grocery stores going into neighborhoods, bars, restaurants, when you think about what higher rents contribute to, they contribute to higher property taxes as well. So we want our teachers, firefighters, police, of course, our infrastructure in our community. All of these things happen because higher median incomes lead to higher rents, more amenities. And what this does is it leads to a higher quality of life in the community. This cycle continues to happen. This is the cycle that we're interested in.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody can win in this cycle. That then leads to more and better jobs because employers want to be here where there's a higher quality of life, leads to population growth, and you see how this happens. So that's the big picture of how the community can win. But let's take a moment here and just pause, because this isn't real life right now for residents, right? We're at a point right now where it's difficult for residents. It's difficult for every resident, no matter which part of the country you are in. Some of you may call them tenants, right? Residents is what we call at JWB. But you've just had the largest increase in rents in a 3-year time period since we started tracking that. And this flywheel that I'm talking about takes time. It takes time for these things to happen. And so I think looking and understanding that this is probably the most difficult time for residents to absorb that increase. Wages overall haven't kept up nationwide. They couldn't keep up to these types of rent increases, and just live there and understand that this is a tough moment for residents. But the message really is, higher rents are a part of a very positive process for the entire community and for the entire region. And you can do it in a way where everybody wins. And that's what our intention is.
I want to just kind of recap what you said, right? And I'll start from where you ended. This is probably the most painful point in a long time for the workforce housing resident, because we've seen an outlier of increased rent that has happened recently, and we are sympathetic to that, right?
Mhm.
Like there is right now, it is a bit of a squeeze for many Americans across the country and definitely in Jacksonville as well. But what you're trying to say is if you zoom out, higher rents are really just a part of an ecosystem, right? An ecosystem that when it's operating in the way that it should becomes a bit of a flywheel,
Yes.
which is essentially higher rents are caused because population growth has driven up higher median incomes, which means that folks out there are demanding and asking for more things, right? Demand has increased for rents and better housing, which raises the rent. And once that rent is raised and other developers see this thing and they say, oh, okay, well, if rent is at this price point, then I can come in here and build better things, more things. Whole Foods wants to come in and sell to those people. Schools, like will get better and things of the sort because there's an increased tax basis. There's more investments being put into the society, which makes more amenities, which increases the higher quality of life. And once quality of life increases, then companies are looking around thinking, where do I want to bring my headquarters? Where do I want to recruit people to? Local companies are thinking, man, I should expand because things are good. I'm going to hire more people. I'm going to bring in a VP of this thing that before was just like done by an administrator, right? I'm going to create that opportunity local. So there's more better jobs. And as more jobs are out there, then more people want to live here because there's better jobs and higher quality of life, which means that again, income increases, median incomes increase, higher rents increase, more amenities get built, quality of life goes even more up, more jobs show up, population grows, higher median incomes, higher rents, right? It's a flywheel that continues to feed itself.
Exactly.
And when looked at it that way, then over the long term, it's good for society, right?